true badass anime man.
Channeling my inner Albert Wesker. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about my appearance, but I'm only ever compared to murderers, cult leaders, or villains. I'm never compared to like something that's fairly innocuous, right? Okay, and yes, also as a reminder, because for some reason people have developed this conspiracy theory now that Sniper isn't on this list because I'm refusing to do a Sniper tier list because I think he's overpowered. No, I am going to do a Sniper tier list, but the Sniper is going to be last. That's why he's not on the dial, because that would defeat the purpose. So he's gonna be last. That's why he's not on the list. Just to clarify again, because no one seems to be paying attention every time I fucking say that. So, there you go. Shall we see who we're doing today? We're doing heavy! Okay, I can do heavy. I'm just gonna repeat the same shit that I've been doing. This is like the little reminder as to what my tiers mean here. You know. Broken needs a nerf and rework means that the weapon is so hideously overpowered or broken that it needs an adjustment in order for it to be fair and balanced. A is the best, B is good, C is middle of the road good, D is passable but and then E is bad. And then broken, bad, / needs a rework means that the weapon is so hideously broken in that it doesn't function properly, that it's just a bad item and needs to be fixed. Or it's just so horrifically bad, even though it's mechanically okay, that it needs some kind of, it needs a fix, you know? That's basically it. Where do I start, guys? What do you think? The one I see the most of is where I'm gonna start. You see a pretty wide spread between almost everything. Okay, so what was the first one that was recommended? Gru, okay, we'll do Gloves of Running Urgently first, because that was the first one I saw. There's just such a huge mix of things that I can't decipher. That's wrong one. Gru's down here. I don't like the Gru. I don't know. I'm really upset with what happened to these gloves. I'm not sure as to what the placement's going to be at the moment. I don't like the Gloves of Running Urgently anymore because they got nerfed into the floor because people bitched and moaned too hard that Heavy was able to get to mid too fast in competitive games. And it was always off the whitelist for items because, oh, if one Heavy ran the Gru, then the other Heavy was forced to run the Gru in order for the teams to have an even fair fight, especially in Highlander. So they squawked and bitched and moaned long enough, and then Valve eventually picked up on it and go, huh, maybe we should nerf these, and they listened to the wrong people, and now for me, whenever I play Heavy, I consider these gloves absolutely fucking useless. Health drain on Heavy, health drain on any fucking item is absolutely fucking stupid. Why would I ever sacrifice my health pool for anything in this game, when health is everything, right? I immediately whip these things out and my health starts draining immediately. The only time I can justify using the Gru is over just short distance, like super short distances. If you have these things out for any elongated period of time, you go all the way down to 100 maximum health on a Heavy. And as soon as you put them away, you're still stuck there for a while and you have to wait a long ass time for all your health to regen. And you're the slowest moving class in the game with a health pool that's lower than a scout? Oh, it's fucked. It's so horrible. And what's worse, what's really bad about this is that the way they're balanced now is that they completely violate other items that give some kind of a speed bonus and also have a downside to them, or some kind of a bonus whenever you have them out. For example, take the Power Jack. Whenever you have the Power Jack out, you have a damage vulnerability, right? But then when you put it away, you're fine. But guess what? You're also not moving fast. You're only punished when you're using the item. With the Gru, you're punished for an extended period of time after you put them away. I don't understand why they thought that was a good idea. Because any extended use of this item is gonna fuck you. You're just gonna die. It's horrific. And Zenny, the way this item used to be is that it used to be like the escape plan for Heavy. They made you marked for death when you had them out. They have, I think, a damage penalty and a swing speed penalty. I'm not even sure how they're balanced now. All I know is that they have the stupid fucking health drain for the same amount of speed boost. But yeah, they used to mark you for death, and then that was it. You were punished when you were using them, and then once you put them away, you were immediately back at a slower moving speed. And I think there was also a slight delay as to like how long you still took mini crits after you put them away, which is like the escape plan, which for me, I think was fine. And if they made it exactly like the fucking, if they made this item exactly like the escape plan where you cannot get healed when they're active, that would be perfect. I would use these things so much more often. And but as they are now, they're fucked. And what's more, you want to know something else about this item? This item is buggy. Fun fact you don't know about these things. If you have any amount of overheal using the gloves running urgently, the instant you pull them out, your overheal is gone. It vanishes immediately. Do you have 450 health full overheal? And if you accidentally swap to that melee item, guess what? 150 effective health is just fucking gone. It's so stupid. And the amount of overheal still scales with your draining health pool, but if you keep like swapping back and forth between melee and another item, you're deleting your overheal over and over again. It's fucked. I hate it so much. I don't like this item because your active health pool isn't consistent. It's constantly changing, always evolving because of the health drain. It's fucking annoying. You have the issue in that it's an extremely delayed downside after you put them away. And it's like, why would I ever use these things, right? I hate the rework that they put these things on, man. My firm belief is that they need to rebalance these things so it behaves exactly like the escape plan. Except, yeah, it would be the same base movement speed and not scaling with decreasing health. You would just be marked for death and you cannot get healed while they're out. At all. Like, there's no slower heal. You cannot get healed, period, if these are out. Instead of the stupid health drain. And you take mini crits. That would be better. Instead of forcing yourself to end up at 100 effective health and then dying to literally anything in one shot. I hate what they've done. Put it back. Put it back to how they were. They were totally fine. They were completely fine in the casual setting. Heavies are punished when they were out, and for a short time after they put them away, and not for like 30 seconds after they were put away. Fucking stupid. Dumb fucking rework. One of the worst balance changes that this game has ever seen in its history. Put this shit back. They're like low, but here's the thing. They're still they're marginally useful. If you're doing like, if you have like a long ass map on like payload or something, or if you're doing like a huge 5 CP map, and like this guy just said, you whip them out for halfway there and then you put them away. Yeah, that cuts down on your travel time, but it's like, it's not that impactful. To me anyway, I would much rather use any other melee item except the Eviction Notice and the Warrior Spirit, because dear fucking god, those are even worse than this item. Put them back. Bottom C tier. Marginally useful only on larger maps. Anywhere else, useless. You just fucking die. Don't use them. And yeah, that's the other thing too. They nerfed the Eviction Notice in the exact same way. Why did they do that? Is it because it gave you a speed bonus every time you hit somebody? Oh, and it gives him the speed bonus when they get a hit, so we have to nerf it now. It's like, why? These things were even more okay. You punched faster, you had a severe damage penalty, and you were just fucking whipping them out, beating the shit out of people. There was nothing wrong with the Eviction Notice, man. What the fuck? They were totally fine. Oh, it makes me so mad. And like, these weren't even competitively viable. But they got the exact same treatment. Why did they do that? It makes no fucking sense. Like, this was meant to be like the fun gimmick item where you fucking like, fuck it, I'm just gonna fucking go Mach 9 and just beat the shit out of people. That was fun with this item. But now you can't do that anymore. Now you have a base speed boost, but you have the still, like, you have the same faster firing speed on these, right? I think you do. Yeah, 40% faster firing speed, gain a speed boost on hit, and then you have 50% faster movement speed on the wearer while active. And 60% damage penalty and maximum health drain while the item's active. It's fucking ridiculous! Like, come on! I hate it. I hate it. I hate that they changed these things. It's like they were totally fun as a fun, silly, fine gimmick item before, but now they are the worst item. One of the worst. Actually, no, it's not the worst item for heavy. It's one of the worst items for heavy. You know what? Put it back. Do something. These are like the worst. Horrible. Like, it hovers between broken and E. Leave it in E for now, but Jesus Christ, what happened to these things? Remember what they took from you. Valve listened to the wrong people on this one, on these 2 items. They didn't listen to anybody on this item. I don't know why they did this to the fucking eviction notice. Like, come on. The community is completely unable to balance items well. That's why you shouldn't listen to me, right? These are my opinions. Do I know a single thing about game design? No. But I've been playing this game for over a decade, so I think I have some say in how things should work, at least a little bit, right? But did non-game designers have any real weight and value in their input on a video game that wasn't made by them? Absolutely fucking not. They're not. No. Eviction notice. Put them back as the silly, stupid gimmick, beat the shit out of people item. Only give them that fucking speed boost on hit, faster firing speed, and then damage penalty. And that's it. Leave them just like that. Don't put the stupid fucking health drain on them. Don't give the player a speed boost when they're out. Only give them the speed boost on hit. That's it. That's how you fix these items. Then they'll be more fun. Then they'd see a lot more use. But now, to me, these are both fucking useless in comparison to the Heavy's other melee options. What do I do next? Let's do shotgun. I don't know. Yeah, let's do shotgun on Heavy. Let's just do any. Let's do a single shotgun. Why? So first of all, why would you ever use shotgun on Heavy? Like, if you're wanting to play Heavy effectively in any capacity, why would you use any shotgun? You're only using shotgun on Heavy if you're playing Fat Scout, for the most part. I don't see any strong argument with pairing a minigun with a shotgun in any capacity, because why would you ever need to use this when your minigun's gonna do infinitely more damage at close range, and you're likely never gonna run out of ammo unless you're using something like the Huo Long Heater, right? Because you do chew through ammo faster on the Huo Long Heater, but if you do ammo management, it shouldn't be that much of an issue, right? You play around a dispenser, play around a fucking payload cart, you play around ammo packs, shouldn't be that detrimental, right? But beyond that, if you're pairing this with any minigun, why? Because the shotgun is mostly effective at long range, its chip damage is a pittance, you can do the exact same amount of chip damage and then higher damage with any minigun at close to point blank range. Why use a shotgun? Unless you're playing Fat Scout. That's just me. I mean, I'm not really seeing a strong use for the shotgun unless you're moving yourself to the fight and don't want to get caught off guard, right? But even then, most miniguns, aside from the Brass Beast, are gonna let you rev up fast enough to deal with any aggressor that suddenly appears in your line of sight if you're moving towards a fight, right? Unless someone comes up from behind you like a spy, but if they do, you're fucking dead anyway. If you're fully aware, like if you have any amount of game sense and know how to spy check and like look behind you every once in a while, you're not gonna get caught that off guard. You're not gonna get caught off guard that often. You're gonna be able to spin up fast enough either stock or Tomislav to deal with whatever threat suddenly comes your way, right? And yeah, Varsk, yeah, I heard about that too. Heavy was just given the shotgun as a placeholder since they didn't have a time to give him a proper secondary, and then they came up with the Sandvich later in 2008. There you go. For me, just the stock shotgun, like if you're gonna use a shotgun on Heavy, stock shotgun is the worst option, because if you're playing Fat Scout, you're gonna use the family business. Because why wouldn't you have 2 extra shots, a faster firing speed for, what, a 15% damage penalty? It's effectively nothing on a hit scan weapon. Especially at, like, point-blank range. It's not that much. You're sacrificing, what, 10 damage, roughly, at point-blank? It's like, what, it does like 78, 80 damage per shot at point-blank? And then at max fallout, that 10% difference doesn't make all that much of a difference anyway. So, yeah. For Heavy, exactly, the family business is just a straight upgrade to stock. So, why would you ever use the stock shotgun, ever? On Heavy, when the family business exists. I will say a note about Fat Scout. A note about Fat Scout is it's fun. Like, it's like a fun, wacky thing you can do. Fat Scout can be enjoyable, like you just want to dick around, move around, blasting people with the shotgun. Yeah, you can do that, you know? That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with shotgun on Heavy or just wrong with using a shotgun on Heavy. But if you're playing with your minigun actively, then why use a shotgun? I have, honestly, listen, in all of my years playing TF2, in all of my years playing this fucking game, I think I've maybe seen someone using a shotgun with a minigun as many times as I can count on both hands. I just so rarely see anyone pairing a shotgun with a minigun, because why would you ever do that when you could just rev up and blast people away anyways? The only people that pair a minigun with a shotgun is people, yeah. If you're only using a shotgun with a minigun if you've just installed the game. As soon as you get the sandwich or any lunchbox item, you're probably going with that. If you're gonna use a shotgun on Heavy, you're using the family business, but if you want to use the panic attack is effectively just a straight upgrade, because the only people you're going to be picking at, I mean, when you're picking at people with this gun, right, if you know how to, like, tame your firing speed, like, you know, if you do a delay between each of your shots so you don't get that wider spread on consecutive shots, you're probably going to be performing better with the panic attack than the stock shotgun, but only by a little bit. And also, if you're playing on a Valve server, random spread can fuck you over too a little bit on the stock shotgun, and if you don't have the bigger clip size and faster firing rate like the family business, the panic attack can make up for it a little bit. So, fat scouting, best options, family business, panic attack, worst option, definitely the stock shotgun. I guess if you really, really want to push the argument for pairing a shotgun with a minigun, the panic attack is probably the best option because you have the faster switching speed. But beyond that, it's the only real reason I can see for ever using a shotgun on heavy with a minigun. That's just me. God, but even then, it's just so hideously ineffective whenever I see it used. It's only barely better than the stock shotgun, so I'm putting it in D tier as well for heavy. Family business is just objectively the best option for Fat Scout, and then panic attack is just not nearly as good. Let's do, I don't know, I feel like let's get a primary out of the way. I like the Huo Long Heater. Dusk subscribe, thanks man. I like the Huo Long Heater. I would say that the Huo Long Heater is one of the most underrated weapons in the game, because people see the damage penalty and they see the faster ammo consumption, and then they immediately disregard this weapon as being useless in comparison to the stock minigun. When, as I've done for a video and tested, that whenever you're opting to use the Huo Long Heater and, you know, disregarding the game mode, what have you, you can play equally as effectively with the Huo Long Heater as you can with the stock minigun in terms of points, kills, and damage. You just have to play with the Huo Long Heater differently. You have to really exploit good positioning so you force people to come into you to hit your firing so you get that bonus damage. And even then, that 15% damage penalty doesn't really make up that much of a difference between it and the stock minigun. And you're getting someone who's on fire often enough to make up for that lack of damage, if not more sometimes. And also, yes, in the casual setting, there's pretty much always a pyro on your team anyway, so you're going to be able to use this item and get that damage bonus more often than you might think. And this weapon is ridiculously good on payload. Like, if you're playing heavy on payload, use the Huo Long Heater and just fuck the cart. Stick your cock in the tailpipe of the cart and just stay revved up and you're good. Nothing can come close. Something catches on, like if someone tries to like block a cap, you do 5% less damage than the Brass Beast against someone who is on fire with Huo Long Heater. Think about that for a second. 5% less damage than the Brass Beast on a minigun that has no spin-up penalty and no movement speed penalty, so long as that person is on fire. Woo! That's pretty good. The Huo Long Heater is very much the get in your target's face weapon. Get in their face with this thing. You do that, this item is awesome and really fun to use. I love this thing. And it's really good too, like if you're like, something I've noticed as well, like if you're making a push with your team into like a group of players, if you're suddenly coming across a whole bunch of people that just suddenly get close to you and your firing is activated, you're doing 16 damage per tick. And then you follow up with your fucking shots on this thing, you're melting through people that get close to you. I love the Huo Long Heater. More people need to use it. It's stupid fun. But it's not the best minigun. It's not the best functionally. The other options tend to be a little bit better for a couple of reasons. But the Huo Long Heater is awesome. I love it. Use it more. I would say that the Natascha is an item that is... Okay, so first of all, the Natascha is objectively broken on heavy. Alright? So, for those of you that don't know, the slow effect in Team Fortress 2... like the slow effect that you get from the stun on the Natascha, that you get on the Sandman ball from the ball from the Sandman. If you spam strafe, like if you just hit 80, 80, 80, 80 over and over again, that negates the slowing effect. Like if you strafe, you're not affected by items that slow you down. So if you're being shot by a Natascha heavy, just spam strafe and you're not going to be slowed down at all. And it effectively makes the item useless. So this weapon is broken and bugged and needs to be fixed. You have a minigun that is buggy on its slow effect. You have a 25% damage penalty and a 30% slower spin up time. I would consider the Natascha objectively the weakest of the miniguns, because it's only effective in 2 or 3 very specific fights against scouts, against pyros that only know how to hold down mouse 1, and people who are sticky jumping or who are rocket jumping. Because hit scan already kills airborne momentum based off of how much damage it does, but the slow effect also kills momentum in the air. So you really fuck over people who are airborne because of an explosive jump. This item is also very good on, if you want to give a really good middle finger to someone who's abusing the broken game mechanic of Splendid Screen Eyeliner Demo Night, whip out the fucking Natascha, and it's the biggest fucking middle finger you can give these guys. It is so satisfying to fuck these guys over. Oh, it's the only time I love using this item. Is whenever there's a fucking Demo Knight who's just invincible, whip this fucker out, and he's fucking dead. It's so good. Love doing that shit. The high GPS balance mod does something very interesting with this minigun. So this minigun brings everyone else down to the level of the heavy so he can track his target easier and fuck them over. What the high GPS balance mod did is that instead, you get a speed boost every time you hit someone with the Natascha. But the speed boost is like, it's like an instantaneous thing. Like as soon as you get it, it goes away. There's no, it lasts like a 1/10 of a second. So you have to be actively hitting someone to make you faster. If you're not actively shooting someone, you're still moving at the same base speed. So instead of bringing other people down to your level, you're rewarded with faster movement speed so you're more mobile while spun up and shooting targets, and you still have the damage penalty. I really, really like that balance change that the high GPS balance mod did. It makes this weapon a lot more interesting, and I think a lot more fair. So that Natascha, I think, is very, very good. It's a good change. There are a lot of changes in that balance mod that I personally don't like or agree with, but this is one of the few that I actually really would not mind seeing them put in the game. Also, who plays support heavy? Heavy's not a support class. He's a defensive class. You're a damage powerhouse who's holding down in, a specific spot or pushing in very slowly with the rest of your team. You are the team's anchor. With Natascha, you are no longer an anchor. You're just a fucking chain on the anchor. You're not doing much. First one I see is the next one I do. Buffalo? Buffalo it is. Okay, buffalo steak sandwich. I don't know where to put this. It's just not, it's very lackluster. So the only good thing about this item is it's a throwable health kit that you can give to your medic or to someone who's hurt, right? That's like the strongest upside that you have with this weapon, or this item, I should say. It has the same healing properties as the stock, stock sandwich. It basically is stock at this point, as the Sandvich. So you can use it that way if you want, but its actual use, which is eating it and then giving you a slightly faster movement speed at the cost of not being able to use your primary and being locked to your melee unless you manage to find a shotgun and then swap to that while it's on the ground. Yeah, you can do that, but the fact that this thing has a hidden 20% damage penalty, that's not advertised, by the way. If you look at the item description of this thing, it doesn't tell you that you have a 20% damage penalty while its effects are active. Don't know why they ever opted to not put that in there. So yeah, you're forcing the heavy to go melee only, but then you give him a damage penalty against everything. That makes sense. Yeah, right. Oh, God. Damage vulnerability, sorry. Vulnerability, sorry. Damage vulnerability, damage vulnerability, 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 vulnerability. Sorry, damage vulnerability. Gives you a damage vulnerability of 20%, so fucking sucks. I don't understand why they didn't put that in the fucking description of this item. Put that there so it's at least, publicly broadcast so people know what they're getting themselves into. I mean, aside from that, the weapon works as advertised. You can be stupid with it. Like if you're you can do the melee only thing where you're running the KGB and you can get the crits on demand, right? If you get a kill on somebody, then you have crits for a few seconds and you just fucking wail on people with that. Whenever you combine this item with this melee, I'll talk about this one next, the KGB. If you combine this with the KGB and you're chaining crits together, man, that's fun. But that's the only time when this item is really viable. I mean, perhaps you could make the argument that you could eat this item and then use this as a means to get to the fight faster without having a health drain, but then you'd have to time it very perfectly because if you're too close, you're not going to be able to use your minigun until its effects wear off. So, probably not the best use for that either. But if you're using this with this, oh man, it's pretty good. But also, yeah, you can already randomly crit with the killing gloves of boxing, which to me makes no sense. Change that. This item should not randomly crit. If this gives you crits as a reward, it should not randomly crit. Period. The Frontier Justice rewards you with crits. The Ambassador rewards you with crits. The Diamondback rewards you with crits. And none of those have random crits. But these reward you with crits, and these can still get random crits. That makes no sense. So remove the ability to randomly crit with this thing. And these are still, like, the second best heavy melee option. Because why would you ever use the stock fists when you can, here's the thing. If you know you can secure a melee kill on heavy, you whip these things out, you punch someone once, you have crits now. Then you can swap back to your minigun, and guess what? You have a critical hit minigun. Oh, you can do that. Few people forget that they can do that. And if you have, like, the Tomislav, with these things, you punch someone, you whip out the Tomislav, faster firing speed, guess what? You have crits now. And no one ever seems to remember that they can do that. Then again, if a heavy is ever using a melee, he's pretty much like... If you're using heavy on melee on heavy, you're kind of doing that as like a last ditch thing, like, fuck it, I'm gonna die. So, you have to be actively chaining your melee with your primary to get those crits on a hit scan weapon. But whenever you manage to do that, it's pretty fucking good, so why would I ever use the stock fists when I might be able to get crits with this thing at the penalty of a slower firing speed of about, what, 20%? Yeah, of only 20%. I'm always gonna use these over the stock fists. Why would I neuter the KGB even more when it's hard enough as it is to get close to the heavy to get those crits? Because random crits are fucking stupid and shouldn't be in the game. Especially on melee, which already has a higher base crit chance. So if you get a random crit, you're just immediately able to chain crits for free. That's stupid. This item should not randomly crit. Yeah, I think KGB is just like, it's just the second best item for heavy. It's the second best melee for heavy. It's very good. Why would you not use these things over stock? That's it. Stock fists, the stock fists, I mean, they're just okay. I mean, again, if you're actively trying to use melee on heavy, you're only doing it because it's like a last-ditch effort to kill someone, or you're just fucking memeing around. That's it. So, stock fists are fine. Also, Apoco fists are the same thing, but it's to reskin. It makes your enemy gib when you get a kill on them, and that's it. But yeah, I mean, stock fists are like your third best melee option, and oh yeah, taunt kill. You can do taunt kill. I forgot, taunt kills, duh. Yeah, you can taunt kill with the fucking normal fists. That's always fun. Yeah. Stock fists are fine. And like, when you compare the stock melee to like all the other classes in the game, the only classes where stock melee is probably your best option is Demo Man, if you're not playing Demo Knight, and Sniper, if you're not using Jarate Bushwhacka. So this is kind of the similar case for heavy. If you're not using the Fists of Steel or the KGB, the stock fists are actually pretty good. Because I think the gloves are running urgently blow, and the eviction notice does blow. But yeah, stock fists are just good, because again, random crits are stupidly high on fucking fists, so yeah, wild shit, so it's alright. Stock melee is good on heavy. It's just good. That's why it's C tier. It's just good. It's not amazing, it's not bad, it's just good. Holiday Punch is a direct upgrade if you aren't wanting to kill the crit. I fucking hate this item, man. I hate this shit. Listen. The only reason why the Holiday Punch is in broken needs nerf territory is because it works on Ubered players. You can just immediately like, if you see someone being Ubered and you're a heavy, all you have to do is just turn your brain off and just fucking wall to someone and get a random crit and completely stuff the Uber. It's fucking stupid. This item should not affect Ubered players. It can have random crits, fine, I don't care. But it should not affect people who are fucking invincible. Why are invincible players still affected by the fucking gimmick of making people laugh? That's stupid. It's one of the most broken things in the fucking game. It should not happen. Should not fucking happen. Remove random crits on, sorry. Remove the fact that it makes Uber players laugh because of the stupid gimmick. Then it's fine. Other than that, like, if this item didn't stuff Ubers with random crits, it'd be like down here. It's or like kind of around here, right? Because this is like the fun, wacky gimmick item. You can randomly crit someone and taunt kill. Haha, I got you with a tickle mittens. I got you. It's silly, funny, and wacky. They're not really viable in any other way. You're using this item to dick around. But the fact you can stuff Ubers with it completely is fucking stupid. I hate that shit. Remove that effect on Uber players. Fuck them. It can still affect quick fixed players and fucking vaccinator players totally fine, right? Because if it's a vaccinator, fuck you, because I hate the vac. But this should not affect regularly Uber players. No. Bad. Bagels. Bagels. Yeah, you're probably wondering why this next tier list came out so quickly after I made an announcement saying I'm working on a different project. Well, a buddy of mine volunteered to do the bulk of the editing on the stream VODs, so that saves me a lot of time. About 6 hours, in fact, if not more, depending on the length of the VOD, because, yeah, you gotta watch the whole thing and scrub for stuff that you want to keep. So, he's taking care of the bulk of the editing on these stream VODs for me, while I put my own flair in with the rest of the stuff, like this little mid-roll thing. No, I have not hired an editor to do all of my videos, only editing long stream VODs that I otherwise would not have much time to touch. So he's doing me a huge favor and is just going to be sticking around for the rest of the tier list, so say hi to him in the comments, because I think he's doing a pretty good job. I don't have any weird emails to share with you this week. I would normally kind of like throw up a silly sponsorship cooperation request sort of thing, but didn't get any, so just gonna be more direct this time. If you're liking this tier list, then leave a like, leave a comment. If you've made it this far into the video, why would you still be here if you didn't like my content? So if you want to support me, do all the stuff that the YouTube algorithm likes when it comes to promoting videos, because that'd be greatly appreciated. And if you really want to support me, then head on over to my Patreon page. Patrons get access to the full unedited VODs from these streams, or if you pay a little bit more, you can get inside of my Discord. Normally, I put a link in the descriptions of my videos, so only a certain number of people can get in. I like keeping my Discord small and not open to the public, so it's not just this massive, endless clusterfuck of kids screaming and shouting dumb shit. I actually like hanging out in there and talking with people, so I try to keep it small and not open to idiots, morons, mongs, Neanderthals, Nimrods, you know, those kinds of people. So yeah, thanks for watching, and let's fucking keep going, and I'm gonna go ogle at more skins that just dropped in the new CSGO operation. I'll see y'all later. Warrior Spirit, yeah, let's get these out of the way. I would say that it's really hard to pick which one of these is Heavy's worst melee option, because the Warrior Spirit is really bad. Yeah, 30% damage vulnerability. Fuck, that is so brutal on Heavy, man. It's awful. So, like, if you have a 30% damage vulnerability, that takes you down to 230 effective health as a Heavy. That's fucking awful. Right? That's still not that bad, and it's only effective when they're out, right? But I don't understand why this item has to be balanced by make you take more damage to deal more damage. I've never liked that balancing idea. Deal more damage, take more damage. It doesn't feel correct. It feels like lazy game design. Like, I feel like there are better workarounds for that than just making the Heavy suddenly take a fuckload more damage when it's out. I don't like that. I'm willing to accept that the Warrior Spirit has at least some shred of viability, right? Because if you're doing the last ditch thing, if you're gonna fucking die, you're facing someone down, you don't have time to rev up, you whip out these fucking things, you get a random crit, you deal over 200 damage and fucking pop them. And you get 50 health back. But if you have any extended fight with the Warrior Spirit, you're fucked. You're just gonna die. And also, like, this item is supposed to be paired with the buffalo steak sandwich, which is just not... No. You're running around with 193 effective health when you're under the effects of the buffalo steak sandwich, and you have the fucking bare fists out. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, God. And, I mean, yeah, you do like 100 damage per swing, and you move faster, I guess, but... Oh, it sucks. It's, like, I don't know, unless you're just really being stupid and going for it. go crazy, but then why would you use the buffalo steak sandwich when a random crit from this thing, like this guy just said, just basically one-shots everything except another heavy, unless the class is overhealed. So, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, these are definitely more useful than the Eviction. I might actually bump them up here. I would say these are probably better than the buffalo steak sandwich, because you can still whip these out in like a last-ditch effort and one-shot a guy with a random crit. And maybe if you're playing on a server without random crits, you're doing 80 damage per swing, so you can two-shot a guy if he has anything less than 200 health, like on a soldier. So you can do that too. Yeah, these are probably better than the buffalo steak, but I still really hate how like the do more damage, take more damage balance mentality. I fucking hate that. I don't like that at all. But if you're using an item for a health kit, then you're using the sandwich. Like, this is the secondary option you're always running for heavy, unless you're using the second banana. The sandwich is just good. Why would you sacrifice the ability to completely give your entire health pool back, or give a medium health kit to somebody? That's also replenished by picking up other health kits. This item is insanely good for heavy. And it's a really good team play item as well, because you can just give it to your medic. Or give it to someone who's hurt. It's just good. Like, what this is the meta. This is the meta item, and this is like one of the few times where I completely agree with the meta, in that this is objectively the best secondary item for heavy. It's very fucking good. Most people just use this item because of how fucking good it is. It's nuts. It's very good. It's the best in general. It's not. I wouldn't say it's the best with the pocket medic. It's just good in general. Like, if he needs health, you can toss it to him. If one of your teammates needs help, you can toss it to him. Because if you got it's just solid. It's very good. Sandvich is the best secondary option. Why would you ever use anything else? That's just. It's just like it honestly is the heavy's best item. Aside from, this isn't the best item, but yeah, the Sandvich is just the heavy's best item. It works with any minigun, it works with any melee, it works with any kind of playstyle except Fat Scout. This is the most versatile, the most useful item, and the best item in heavy's arsenal. Period. The best item that heavy has. Top of A tier, nothing will beat it. So a close second to the Sandvich. A close second to the Sandvich is the second banana. Only because this thing replenishes twice as fast, right? And whenever you're using this thing, you're not completely out of health. You might be like a little bit less than half health, right? So this is the optimal item to use. Like, it'll top you back off to have enough health to get yourself back into the fight, or so you can wait for a medic, right? And then the faster regen on this thing just makes you be able to use it more often. And then, like, if your medic's on fire, here, have a small health kit. It's effectively a watered down version of the stock Sandvich that's just a little bit better if you don't have a medic on your team. Because you can use it more often, it can get you back into a fight faster, and if you just, it tops you off. It's a topping off item. It's a topping off item. It's just good. Yeah, and the second banana does come in second, at least in terms of it being, yeah. It's not that it's worse, it's a pretty solid side grade, right? But you would pretty much want to stick with the stock Sandvich if you have a medic on your team so you can heal him back up. If you want to be a more selfish player and only use your lunchbox item for yourself, then you're going to be using the second banana. It's very good. One thing that I kind of have a peeve with when it comes to lunchbox items, especially with a Dalakoh bar, it hovers. Dalakoh bar hovers between C and B tier, but I'll get back to that in a minute. I don't know, I still would always much prefer using the sandwich over the second banana. And I've heard arguments for the second banana to make its eating animation faster. And I kind of disagree with that, because you also have the faster recharge time. If you didn't have the faster recharge time, then that'd be a justification to give this a faster eating animation, so you can, fucking stuff the banana down your gullet faster. But that's not a good rework for this item. I think that type of a tweak is much more deserving, or the Dalakoh bar is much more deserving of that kind of a tweak. It recharges at the same rate as the stock Sandvich. It only gives you 100 health, but it increases your base health by 50. That's pretty influential. In some scenarios, it's not as good as people make it out to be for a couple of reasons. Yeah, like someone pointed out, it lets you tank an extra pipe, it lets you tank an extra rocket. You can tank 2 headshots, but it's not that effective given how slow heavy moves and the fact that its effect is temporary for only a short period of time, right? This item is usually best paired when you have a quick fix medic. Because when you have a quick fix medic, its overheal is only 25%. So heavies get overhealed to like 425, I think is what it was. I think heavies get overhealed to 425 with the quick fix medic when they're using the Dalakoh bar, but all health pools have a cap at the amount of overheal. Yeah, all classes have a cap on the overheal. So like if you're using the stock Minigun or the Vaccinator or the Kritzkrieg, it caps at 450. And you can't overheal more than that. But since you're not hitting that maximum cap of 450 with the Dalakoh bar, and because the Kritzkrieg overheals you for half as much, you can get a 425 health overheal with a Dalakoh bar and a quick fix medic. Which not a lot of people know. It's pretty good. So if you got a quick fix medic on your team, you're probably going to be able to use this, because not only do you have that higher health pool when your overheal is drained completely, but you get a better buff. So that's pretty cool. So, but beyond that, it's just not, it's not that influential, right? It only works when you remember to eat it, and then when you eat it so slow that by the time you're done eating and get back into the fight, you've already chewed through like a third of the time that health bonus is active. So this item would be a lot more effective. I think it'd be used a lot more often if the eating animation was faster, right? If you could eat this thing faster and get into the fight more quickly, so you can actually make use of that higher health pool instead of sacrificing a third of that time to the actual taunt animation itself, that'd be good. Dalakoh recharges in 10 seconds, Sandvich in 30. Is that true? Did I fuck that up? Ah, it is 10 seconds. Sorry. I did not see that. Okay, yes, the recharge time is 10 seconds. Okay, so this does have a faster recharge time. That's my bad. I still think that a faster eating animation would be better for this, though. Oh, that's right, the balance mod does make you eat this faster. Yeah, so yeah, the balance mod agrees with me on that one. They make the eating animation faster for the Dalakoh. And even because it recharges 10 seconds faster, right? It's like when you, here, think about it this way, right? You get back into the fight, right? You get back into the fight, and you're using this thing, and you don't pay attention to when your health pool goes back down unless you're not overhealed. But if you're actively engaged in a fight, and because it recharges so quickly, you're not going to be able to like stop and pause and eat it again. Like, how often do you eat this item more than once in a single life, right? If the eating animation was faster, I think this would be a lot better, because you could give yourself more health back instead of 100, and you could make use of its effects more often. You like really cycle its effect more often. I think that'd be a little bit of a better tweak. That'd be good. But right now, it's good. It's definitely better than this piece of shit lunchbox item. I would consider it a pretty decent alternative to either of these two lunchbox items because of that, you know, extra 50 health. But it's just not as good. It's not as good as the other lunchbox items. But it's still good. Slight tweak, and it would be up here. It'd be like fucking amazing. But it resides comfortably down here. I would say it's probably firmly nestled like in the middle of our B tier items. Yeah, I think it deserves to be bumped a little bit. About right there. About right there is good. Okay, let's get the Fist of Steel out of the way. I fucking hate these items. These items are a genuine crutch. If you're heavy using these, you're not a skilled player. You don't know how to position yourself, and you have a medic inside your ass at 24/7. Like, I immediately lose all respect for you if you're using the Fist of Steel. It's a stupid good item. It's broken, right? Because you instantly get 500 effective health when you pull them out, because of the 40% damage resistance that they grant you. A heavy walking around with 500 active health that can still be healed and still be overhealed to 390 health. Oh, but guess what? What does that 390 health turn into with a 40% damage resistance? Gee, let's do the fucking math on that, shall we? 650 health! 650 health against a heavy! He cannot fucking die unless he has a medic in it, rather I should say, unless he has a spy backstab him, or someone's wailing on him with a melee item. But even then, with 650 effective health, it takes 3 swings to bring him down. The downside of this item, which is double damage from melee items, only comes into effect when he's by himself. And then these things are infinitely less effective, because if you're by yourself and you're trying to like whip these out quick enough, like, oh shit, I can get out and like get out alive, right? Cross a sniper sight line, then yeah, you can take anything that gimps a sniper. You're whipping these things out to like cross a sniper sight line, fine. You can survive that way. In that instance, they're okay. But like, if you have a medic in your ass, like, oh shit, I'm gonna lose this fight, now I won't, and then you fucking just zip away and don't have to worry about it. It is the biggest get out of jail free card in this fucking game. Because of overheal. It's ridiculous. No overheal when this item is active. Then it's fine. Also, fun fact, even though these things deploy slower, what's the deploy? Yeah. They fucking... Yeah. They deploy slower. They holster slower. You can completely circumvent that by quick switching your items. So if you're quick switching your fucking Fist of Steel over and over again, you can completely circumvent having to put these things away slower. So that downside is non-existent. Stupid. Just fucking spam your mouse wheel. As soon as they come out, that damage resistance is in effect. And until they're fully deployed, you can just keep quick switching and you don't have to worry about it. Okay, let's do the Brass Beast. So the Brass Beast is, I don't know. I think a lot of people ignore this minigun. It has its uses, but you have to play hideously defensively. I have a lot of fun using this thing because the best way to be effective with a Brass Beast is if you're doing jump revs around blind corners, right? Or if you're waiting for someone to come around a blind corner. This weapon very much turns you into like a spider in a trap. You're waiting for the flies to come in your web. And as soon as they do, they're fucked. Right? This is objectively the best defensive minigun option that Heavy has, right? Because you can jump, spin up around corners. You're in the movement, you can move a little bit, but you're effectively stationary. But it's not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. It's still pretty good. It's still a pretty good minigun. I think this is, even despite how lackluster it is in comparison to the other miniguns, I don't think it needs any kind of adjustment. I think the Brass Beast is okay. A lot of people call for it to like, you know, have some kind of a buff of some kind. I don't know what it would need, but I think it's totally fine, right? Because it's a higher damage hit scan item, which is brutally powerful. As soon as you're in the Heavy's line of sight, he melts through you, unless you're far away. It's good. You can play well with this, if you know how to really pay attention to positioning and timing with getting yourself into a right spot to start shooting people, right? On offense, like if you're playing like offense on like, you know, attack, defend, or payload, then this thing is not a good option. But if you're holding defensively on any game mode, this is really fucking good. I've seen some people try to use this thing offensively, but it just makes you an even slower anchor for your team, so you tend to fall behind quite a bit. And so unless you overextend initially and then rev up, then you can kind of be effective on offense with this thing, but you put yourself at greater risk of having someone catch you off guard before you're revving up, and you might die. So, bit riskier to use this thing on offense, but defense, it's pretty fucking good. Also, by the way, you can tank 3 headshots with this because of the damage resistance it gives you below 50% health. So, there's that too. Unless the sniper charges up and then he can still one-shot you, but there's also that. Anything else? Anything else to cover about the Brass Beast? No, I think it's pretty good. I think that adequately sums up the Brass Beast. It's just good. It's just aight, you know? You can still play decent with it. Now we have the last two. And I'm putting them both up here. We have the minigun and we have the Tomislav. So, I made a video about Tomislav versus minigun. And when it comes down to it, the minigun always outperforms the Tomislav in terms of damage by 10%. Bullet for bullet, if you land every single shot with the Tomislav and the minigun's always going to outperform by more than 10%. roughly like 15% because of how tick rates work in TF2. The 20% damage, the 20% slower firing speed really translates into something like a 15% damage penalty, and not exactly a 20% damage penalty as if you were to hit bullet for bullet. But no matter the play style, no matter what you do as you play heavy using either the stock minigun or the Tomislav, you will always underperform. You will always do 10% less damage. And throughout, and again, I did fucking 50 rounds of stock, 25 on stock, 25 on Tomislav, different play styles, offense, defense, you know, and when it just came down to it, minigun always worked better, right? The difference that the Tomislav makes is that if you're revved up, you rev up faster, so in a 1v1 against a heavy that isn't revved up, like if you both start revving at the same time, you can beat him. That's the only upside the Tomislav has. The only strong upside the Tomislav has. And you can jump rev up a little bit faster, right? You can pick fights a little bit easier, but that rev up time isn't that significant to where it makes up for that 20% slower firing rate, which translates into like a 15% damage penalty again. So, and even then, it's like, yeah, you're hitting slightly more shots at medium to far range, but it's not that much more because, again, you have the slower firing rate that kind of accounts for that damage adjustment that you would otherwise be getting with the stock minigun, right? You're firing more often, but you're hitting fewer shots instead of firing less often and hitting more shots. It's effectively the same amount of damage at medium to far range. And it makes the most significant difference at close range. At close range, the stock minigun's always going to do better because you have the faster firing speed. It's always going to do more damage. And as a heavy, you know, if you're timing your rail, and here's the thing too, like if you just barely miss time, like if you have two unrevved heavies, you have a Tomislav heavy and you have a minigun heavy, and if they both rev up at the exact same time, Tomislav's gonna win. But if you mistime that by a fucking millisecond, if that Tomislav heavy just barely starts revving up a hair after that minigun heavy, he's gonna die. The difference is so minor between the two miniguns that for me, if you're just going for normal, just, you know, you're the anchor, you're doing damage on heavy, you're using the stock minigun. Stock minigun is by far the best minigun option in the game. If you want to be a little bit more offensive with your team, and just, again, marginally more because you have the faster spin up time, and again, just a tiny amount, if you want that little bit more of faster movement as you're jump spinning up, then you're going to use the Tomislav. But once you start firing, it's always going to be worse than the minigun. So for me, when it comes down to stock versus Tomislav, stock always beats it, but only by a little bit. And at the end of the day, it really just boils down to whatever your preference is, right? While objectively, I've shown that the stock minigun performs better, it just depends on how you want to play heavy, right? You're going to use the Tomislav if you enjoy having a slightly faster spin up speed and hitting about the same amount of shots at medium range, even though it kind of like tricks you into thinking that you're hitting more shots and doing more damage, and you're doing about the same as the stock minigun anyway. So it just boils down to whatever you prefer more. But for me, stock minigun just is always better. And also the interesting thing too, someone might argue that the silent spin up makes a significant difference, but TF2 is such a loud fucking game that you're probably not going to be paying attention for the heavy spin-up noise in the sea of other shit going on, right? The only time you're going to catch that a heavy is spun up is when he's by himself and there's no one else around you, right? And it's like, oh shit, there's a heavy spun around this corner, probably shouldn't peek. But if you're like if you're engaged in an active fight, people are doing, like, you hear voice lines going, you got shots going off, you got all the clusterfuck of shit going on around you, you're probably not going to be paying attention specifically for a heavy spin-up noise. And if you bump into a heavy and he's spun up either way, you're fucked. You're gonna die. So that silent spin-up time doesn't make that much of an impact, at least from my experience. Tommy is a straight upgrade if there are no heavies on the enemy team. No, I disagree. For example, if you're pushing into a sentry nest with a Tomislav, it's weaker than the stock minigun because it does less. You already have a damage penalty against sentries, but then you have slower firing speed, so you're going to be weaker against sentry buildings, right? So there's that. You're always doing less damage at close to point blank, unless you're doing a spin-up battle with another heavy, so there's that. And at medium to far range, it's still effectively the same amount of damage. So even if there isn't another heavy even if there isn't a heavy on the other team, Minigun's still the better choice. Yeah, I always say stock is better. Yeah, that's it. That's the tier list. We blazed through this one pretty quickly, but then again, there weren't as many items to go through on this tier list, so. Rev Up Sound tier list. Brass Beast is the coolest. Minigun's classic. Tomislav is bad. Natascha's cool. There's no spin up, so there's like a little jingle jangle spin up, but it's not awesome. But no, the Brass Beast has the coolest spin up sound. The Natascha's pretty cool. The stock is classic, and then this is bad.